Happy Craft Beer Week, Draft Drafters. It's Dan, it's JP, and this is not a beer. Because it is, well, it is 12:52, and on a Sunday, 12:52 is a perfectly acceptable time to have a beer if you choose to. I don't know if you noticed, dude. You could probably hear, I'm sure other people can as well.
It's the first thing.
I have next level congestion going on right now, and that's just not fun. I'm going to try not to make too much noise throughout the course of this show, but it's just one of those days, man. One of those days. So instead, I'm drinking some nuclear green stuff that's supposed to help or something.
Dude, that is crazy. That looks like you have like that old like soda Surge or whatever back in the day.
Right. Surge, I think, was a little bit darker green, but it's pretty atomic looking in nature. So, yeah,
so Mountain
that's
Dew, maybe? I don't know.
Right? Dude, I had a Mountain
Mellow
Dew Zero.
Yellow. Sorry.
Mellow Yellow was the classic one, yeah. I had a Mountain Dew Zero last night. It's the first time I think I'd ever had the Zero version of Mountain Dew.
I don't know that I've had a soda in over a year.
Fair. I was at a friend's place for his baby shower, so their baby shower, obviously him and her, and they had it in the fridge. I'm like, you know what? It is midnight, and I haven't had anything that was non-alcoholic in a little while, so let's have a soda. And it was better than a Diet Mountain Dew. Diet Mountain Dew is just like wrong on so many levels, but. And for me, it's better than a regular Mountain Dew because I can't do sugary sodas anyways. But it was an interesting experience, and also not what we're here to talk about today. Although I will admit, I do have some beer to talk about in the middle of the show because this is, as of yesterday, we are full-on in Craft Beer Week, sir.
Which is a shame because I don't know that I've had a beer since we did the NFL Draft live analysis.
Well, yeah, you had a month now to reset just about, so... I feel like you can squeeze in a beer this week at some point. We're both gonna have to make a point for our show in the week to be getting a beer in because come on now.
Yeah.
It's Craft Beer Week. Exactly. Yep. And I'll talk about some craft beers that I had earlier on in the week, right before things started, like pre-craft beer week drinking, I suppose. But then also, we've got some other stuff to talk about. We are wrapping up our tour through all of the divisions in the NFL, all of the teams and how they came out of the NFL draft, and then kind of the the free agency, pre-draft processes, everything's leading us up into now the OTAs, et cetera, that are starting up here very shortly. So we've got the South and the North to wrap up today. And again, reminder for everybody, the Jets and the Bills, I think right now are probably the two best teams that we've come across. And I think even we talked about this last time. Are they better than anybody we've talked about? Like even last time? Like I think the East and the West.
I think even Cleveland and Indianapolis are better than anyone in the NFC we've talked about so far.
Again, I still think Philly's better than you do, but that's because I had the guys Philly picked graded higher than you did. So that's an eye of the beholder type draft. But what I will tell you is, dude, I don't know. This is a little like spoiler alert in the front end. I'm not sure today. We're gonna have to have some debates about these teams in these divisions to see if anybody's gonna catch the teams we talked about so far. So why don't you start us off with your favorite team in the South? Waving that flag.
Just rip the frickin' Band-Aid off. All right, let's just get it over with. Reuben Baines Jr., man.
Tampa, by the way, for anybody who's wondering.
Yeah, sorry. Tampa Bay. The first round, they take Reuben Baines Jr. I don't know why. I called this one. I had this one in my mock, too, my final mock. It was one, and I never went through and looked at that, but I think I had like in my final mock, I think I had like 7 or 8 right. I don't know for sure, but I think I did. It was actually a really good year for me because the wild ones. Well, the wild ones that I was calling, like the Ty Simpson, the Reuben Baines, and hell, it probably would have been even more, except for you, sir. I'm gonna say whatever number it is, say 7.5. I'm gonna say half
sure.
right because you live on the show talked me out of putting Jadarian Price to the Seahawks. Yeah. That's what I had there, and you're like, no, dude, you can't do that. I'm like, okay.
Well, and again, that's the thing for me. Let's real quick just to put a bow on that mistake on my part, if you will. I think it's actually a mistake on the Seahawks part.
It is a mistake on Seahawks.
I cannot imagine a world where there wasn't a team that wanted to trade up to 32 to get somebody that was in the middle of the round or even 5-10 picks later. You should have been able to go back and get something for Jadarian Price. And move back a little bit.
Totally agree. Sad thing is we already talked about the Seahawks. We already did that one. But
I know. I'm just reminding people, like, while it might have been a mistake for me to guess wrong and for you to not get it right on your board, it was a mistake for the Seahawks not to try to get some value out of a player that should have gone 10 to 15 picks minimum behind where they had him, that's an opportunity to trade back.
So going back to Ruben Bain, though, I mean, there's a world, like, I see the potential with him. I see plays where he looks fantastic. I just had never seen him anywhere near where people were talking about 15. I never saw him anywhere near 15. I had him as a negative 57, so I had a third round grade on him. Basically, I think he should have gone late first at best, but I think he should have gone in the second round. And here's the reason why. Sure, he's got tons. If you look at his stat line, what he did, solid, looks really good, should be a top 10 pick. But it's just the million reps thing that it took him to get there. So I don't know. We go back and listen to those episodes. We don't need to rehash that. That was a D-. Then they go Josiah Trotter. I really liked Josiah Trotter as an early day 3 pick. They turn around and grab him the second. I mean, they're taking their guys, and they did the positions of need. I mean, I literally said edge rusher linebacker, as pretty much the whole world did. I mean, Tampa Bay was one of those teams where it was
telegraphed it. Yeah,
it was obvious what they needed. But I gave that one. I gave that one an F, man. Like,
I gave it a D-, but yeah,
it probably should have been a D- because it was a negative 55. And I gave Ruben Bain a D-, which was negative 57. So go ahead, change that one to D- if you want.
Can I real quick just have a little fun with this?
Sure.
The list of linebackers that I would have taken ahead of Josiah Trotter.
No.
Jake Galday, C.J. Allen, Anthony Hill. I mean, Jay Sean Barham probably would have been ahead of him. Caleb Elam's I would have had ahead of him. Bryce Botcher probably would have been ahead of him as well. So, I mean, there were so many guys they could have taken instead of him. He's going to be a good run stopper, thumper kind of guy for you. But I feel like there were better guys who can do that better and add other things that were there for him.
I liked him better than like one or two of those guys, but C.J. Allen and Galday and
and Hill, all three of them.
I had Red Murdoch above him.
Obviously, we read in there too. But even if you talk about the three that got
Hill
picked,
above him,
right? All three of those guys went in 15 picks after Josiah Trotter. So it's not like
you talked me into a D- and you talked me right back into my F. Back on F.
Fair.
Next pick, third round, Ted Hurst. I actually really, really liked this one. I had a fourth round grade on him, but I also had it only as a negative 17. So I just have it as a straight B.
Dude, he was a plus 26 for me.
Yeah,
I had Hurst a lot higher than you.
Keontae Scott. This is one of the best corners in this draft, without a doubt, to me. I could only, unfortunately, I had him fourth round grade. He went in the fourth round, plus 15. Still could only give it I should probably give it a little more than a B. I was going to give it a B because he's going to be 25 when the season starts.
Yeah. So he's an A- for me because I had him higher than you.
Yeah, but the only problem, like, I get it. Tampa Bay's a playoff competing team, so taking an older player is okay. But this is literally a one contract player at that position. We always say running back, cornerback. It's tough. I'll go up to a B+ on that because they are competing now. And if you do get a really good corner for even 4 years, that's a win.
Right, exactly.
Especially if you're competing now. So I'm okay with that. Next pick, fifth round, Demonte Capehart. I had this as a plus 23. I gave it an A-. Really like that pick.
Same.
And then it gets even better. The best pick they made to me. I had a third round grade on Billy Sharuth, and as a plus 109 pick for them. They got him in the fifth round. So
okay.
Did
you slap an S on him?
Nah, A+. Can't be an S.
He was an A for me. I didn't have him as high as you, but still, that was a great value. He was a guy people talking about in the third round at one point.
And then after a 4-pick stretch that was pretty good there, they wrapped up their draft with Bauer Sharp. Don't really care. It's your last pick of the draft. Take a guy you got gut feeling about. I had him as a UDFA, but
I had him in the sixth, and he went in the sixth, so he was a B for me. And I liked Bauer Sharp, what I saw of him at the Combine. Right, this is a guy who didn't produce a ton last year at LSU because LSU didn't produce a ton in general. But he is the kind of guy, unlike the other tight ends that got taken in the second and third round that are just way overvalued. He's the kind of guy you take a flyer on in the sixth to see if he can do something for you.
So, all things considered, they didn't do bad at all. Like, they addressed their two biggest needs and took a lot of. But the thing is, they took a lot of players. They picked the first two picks, plugged their biggest needs, and they're both young guys. Then they took a lot of good picks.
Right.
So
and that's the thing.
Put it this way. If we're wrong about Ruben Bain, this draft class is going to be graded a lot higher than what you and I will have it.
Well, I think that's why when you look at other people who have talked about the draft at this point, they probably like Tampa's draft better than we do because they like Ruben Bain better than we do. But that's the thing is like I look at this list, they had an A plus, an A minus, an A minus, an A and a B to finish off their draft, but that C and the D minus because I had Ruben Bain as a C personally. And that was the best I could do for him. It's just
D minus.
Right, fair. It's frustrating with how well they did the rest of the time to say, but you pooped your two important picks in our minds. And again, we'll see. Ruben Bain will contribute. But again, he is a guy who feels like he has to be a secondary piece, right? He doesn't seem like a guy who's going to be your number one edge rusher.
They don't have the number one piece. So
that's
edge rusher, still a need for them.
Right. Atlanta Falcons, they had a funky draft to begin with because you got to factor in that they didn't have a first-round pick, and that first rounder was James Pierce, which seemed like a good thing last season. And
allegedly,
then
all charges are dropped.
Yeah, it sounds like he bought his way out of that situation. So good for him. Good for him. The real question for them, and this is where you kind of factor that in, big picture, long term. For last season, it was all right. Right? Yes, you had to trade a first rounder to get another edge rusher, but he had a decent season last year. When you look at just how things broke down for him, I remember the exact numbers, but it was good. It wasn't great. It was good. And then now you're sitting here saying, okay, cool. This kid had a rough off season, made some kid-like mistakes, which happens. But also, is he going to make them again? Did he learn from this experience, or did he learn I can buy my way out of mistakes? Or did he learn I've really got to make better choices with who I spend my time with and how I handle things that don't work out? From the sound of things...
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Finish.
So this is a relationship that didn't work out. And dude, as someone who's been in... Not as I got the wedding ring now, but as someone who's been in many relationships that haven't worked out, there's a right way and a wrong way to handle those things. And chasing someone with your car and trying to block them from going to the cops is the wrong way to handle those things.
Yeah, I was just going to say, suddenly, the two things that happened at the Combine a year ago about the forgetting his workout clothes and then the kid that he knew from high school or whatever that said that he's an absolute shithead, maybe it's true. Who knows?
It sounds like he still has some growing up to do, and that is why that makes it very difficult to project how you're going to do his pick. And again, I loved him on the field, but the best ability is availability, and if you're going to take yourself out of the team because of your actions, which again seems like he's not going to get in trouble for this one, is there going to be another one? And that's always something to project for the future. But when you get to the actual picks, their first pick was in the second round. They took Avion Terrell, which when we were thinking about him as a first round pick, you and I were both really nervous. You even more so than me when it came to him as a player who's a little bit undersized, scrappy kind of guy, whatever. But then he gets taken towards the end of this, end-ish of the second round at 48, middle of the second round at 48, and he goes to a team where, look, if you want him to be a effective piece on your defense, pairing him up with his older brother is probably a good idea. Like, this is probably his favorite team he could have gone to, at least from what it looks like, the two of them and the bond that they've got. So, great pick for a placement for him. Good pick for them. I gave it an A because it was still 9 spots ahead of. Maybe that was a little hard. Maybe it should be like a A minus or a B plus because they got him about where they should have gotten him.
And I just gave it a flat B because it was -16. That's just kind of, to me, that's because I graded it.
He's
the
plus
way the
9
does
for me,
it,
so I'm going to go B plus.
Yeah, I just went with a solid B.
Right, and then the next pick that they got was one of my favorite guys in the draft at the wide receiver position, even though he is big risk because at 5'8" and 5'8",
this is a perfect. I mean, absolutely. So the thing I'll give them credit for is the first 2 picks that they made were the best fits for these 2 specific players.
Yes. Yep. Exactly. Because Zachariah Branch can now walk in as
the
third receiving option. I gave it an A. But yeah, A plus is certainly on the board for that. And it's an A only because we haven't seen a guy his size contribute at the level that you'd like to see him contribute for a whole career yet. Now, I'm not saying he won't.
Well, we have. That's like, it's very rare. Remember my little anomaly outlier show or whatever?
Right, exactly. And so it's so rare that this is a swing to make, even for a guy who, again, love his competitiveness. I've talked about it multiple times, how he's the little diesel for me. He's this guy who just eats up the ground when he gets out there. He's angry at the turf for being in his way when the man has the football in his hands. And given the fact that he gets to walk into a situation where he has a number 1 wide receiver in Drake London, a tight end in Kyle Pitts that's going to take some of those targets and pressure away, and Bijan, He is the third or fourth option, depending on how you want to look at things, as a rookie who gets to go out and just do his thing. They are going to screen pass and swing past the crap out of that.
He's not going to be asked to do anything that is
not jet sweeps.
Yeah, that's not like his area of specialty.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, so points to the Falcons for maximizing the first 2 picks with not having that first rounder. So that's great. Then they took Kendall Daniels in the 4th round, and I had him as a UDFA.
Same.
And you're taking him in the 4th round. Just for fun, why don't we go back to when Kendall Daniels went? Other linebackers I would have taken instead of Kendall Daniels. Bryce Botcher, Kyle Lewis I would have taken ahead of him.
I had Daniels as a safety, though.
Okay. Oh, okay, you've got him as a safety? All right. They have him as a linebacker like on draft history, stuff like that. So if we're doing linebacker, again, Botcher, Lewis, even Justin Jefferson, who wasn't that big of a fan of Jaden Duggar. I would have taken Keyshawn Elliott, even Sherrar from Iowa, Jack Kelly, Harold Perkins, so many guys. Aiden Fisher, and obviously
they did get Harold Perkins.
Right, which is funny. Exactly. We'll get to that in a second. This was an F. It can't be anything else.
Yep.
Take a guy that early is not going to happen. Ontario Thompson on the D-line. They did need D-linemen. I still think that's an area. It wasn't necessarily a top need for me, but I don't think most teams, you can't have too many guys, big boys in the middle to rotate in there. And when you look at their depth chart and where he is, he's still a third string guy for the most part.
I mean, I had a UDFA on him.
Exactly, and that's my point. I had a D- on that. I don't necessarily think that it's a bad idea to get D-line players, but this isn't the draft to do it to begin with, right? And when there wasn't necessarily a whole lot of players that I would have taken, instead of him, Rayshon Benny maybe, or even a Tim Keenan, Brandon Cleveland type players. So, and again, you're in your 6th round, so I can't give it an F, but it still seems like, yes, people need those positions, but you didn't necessarily. And again, I guess maybe I was trying to be nice to him, but they've already got Brandon Dorless. They've got, even Deshaun Hand, Chris Williams, other guys down the list. So, yes, he's a 6th rounder, but were there other spots you should have gone in your draft to help the team in other ways? And they did that with the next pick, because Harold Perkins, dude, for me, this was an A, which is a bit surprising for some people maybe, but it's because I still believe in the potential he showed a couple years ago. He had the injury. I don't know that he knew what he should have been at Louisiana State. I'm not sure that LSU knew what they wanted to do with him. So there is a ton of potential in a 6th round pick here with Harold Perkins to be something special as a weirdo hybrid. He's kind of the same as Walker in the sense that he's an undersized guy who can get after the quarterback at times, that should be able to play linebacker, but they haven't figured out what they're doing with him yet. And it'll be very interesting to see.
On him.
Sure. And I had a 5th round grade on him, so that's why I liked this pick in the 6th round. But again, this is a complete projection with a guy like him because he has all of the potential in the world to be special, and we have no idea if he's ever going to reach it. And then you had Ethan Onyanwa in the 7th round. I was fine with that. That was a B- for me. It was about where I figured he would go.
UDFA guy
he was in that window. It was fine. And again, for a team in Atlanta that has a good but not great offensive line, it's solid except for the fact that they put Jawan Taylor at right tackle. That would have been something I would have loved to see them address, just because you and I don't think he should be in the league. Props to him and his family for getting another paycheck, but still, that's an area they should have addressed and they didn't. So overall, Atlanta, I'm not sure what your thoughts are. They didn't do as well as Tampa. They did okay.
Nope.
Their first, they did the opposite of Tampa for me, pretty much. They got really good value out of the first 2 picks, and the rest of it was a mixed bag at best.
I won't spoil my ranking for this division, but I'll tell you what.
Mm-hmm.
Their grades are all pretty damn close, almost.
I believe that. Sure. Yeah. Let's move on to the next team.
I wouldn't be surprised if we have different number ones in this, because I'm actually still trying to figure out who my number 1 is as we do this. So,
well, and that's the thing. This is why one of the other reasons why we do these shows is because you and I have ideas in our head, and obviously the biggest debate was last time with New York and Philly. Is you're still wrong, but as we go through this division, it should be a lot of fun because Carolina is another team that felt like kind of a mixed bag. Why don't you get into it?
All right. Well, the first pick that they made, I will give them props for this. They did take a top 32 player on my board.
Sure.
Yeah, he was a second round grade, but he was my 18th overall player, and they got him at 19. So it's still plus one. I mean, when you're picking middle of the first round and you get a plus value, I'm always happy with that. I mean, it wasn't a huge area of need in my opinion. It's like they definitely upgraded. This is good for Carolina for sure.
Sure.
But I guess
it gives them options for next year too.
I just gave him a B plus because like it's a very, very solid pick. Just not sure it's what I would have done.
Sure. I gave him a B minus because I was a little less high on Freeling, but maybe I should. Yeah, I'm going to move that up to a B actually because of the fact that he's not going to have to start right away. It's probably a good thing for him. But again, it gives him options with if something with him doesn't work out the way they want it to next year.
Second round, there was a trade involved here, so you got to factor that in. I mean, Carolina
I didn't talk about
49 to 196, and then Minnesota 51 and 159. So you got to factor that in.
That's a little bump.
Lee Hunter, though, the problem is I had a 4th round grade on him. So this is a negative 35, so by more than a round. So this is at best somewhere in the D range, maybe an F range. Because
see, I don't have him that bad. I had him a C plus because he's about half a round back for me.
Yeah, second round, man. You got to hit on those, and I don't know.
Well,
that's
again,
a 2-round
I feel
reach.
like right, and I get that, but I feel like he is going to be a guy that they're going to be playing a good amount at nose tackle as a rotational piece with Bobby Brown as well. So
I don't disagree,
if you expect Lee Hunter to be a 3-down player
not
for
what I
you,
would have done.
Right? If you expect Lee Hunter to be a 3-down player for you, you're probably asking a bit too much right now. But I like it better than you do. I don't love it, but I like it better than you do.
Well, you also have to factor in that they lost almost
about a round,
40 rounds, so over a round, because they went, they moved up the 2 spots, but then they moved back damn near 40 from 159 to 196. So
37,
I can't do it. But the next pick, 3rd round, Chris Brazel the second. I gave this an A plus. It was a plus 41 on my board. This is funny because this is almost like the Duke guys for me because you weren't super high on Brazel, but they got him so much later than what either of us expected. Like this wild.
And again, he goes to a team that has an established hierarchy in front of him, so he doesn't have the pressure to be the guy right away. He is their second, third, fourth wide receiver, depending on how you look at it.
So much better.
Well, right, and then Brazel now gets to play off Ted, and Bryce Young now gets to just throw moonballs and have 2 tall guys come up and grab him. It's going to be great for Bryce.
4th round, they went Will Wheelie. I did the Will and the Lee. I did Wee.
Yep.
Will Lee the third. That's coffee, y'all. I'm not having a drink out of it. Will Lee the third. He's a guy, like, man, there were points throughout the season where I was like, ooh, I'm kind of interested in this guy, and I just never fully got there. So I had a 7th round grade on him. They take him in the 4th. It's a negative 72. I had to give that one a D minus, but some people are much higher on him than I was.
Yeah, it's one of those, again, like, guys, who would you have taken ahead of him? And I do feel like there are players that we both like.
For sure.
Yeah, that we both like better than that, depending on how you're planning on using Will Lee. Obviously, if you expect him to be a straight corner, there's still guys that you and I would have taken ahead of him.
And then their best pick of the entire draft to me came in the 5th round. This was another 3rd round grade for me. Sam Heck, awesome pick at center. I had a plus 68 on it. I almost gave that one an S, but I'm still in the A plus territory. Absolutely love that pick. That's the best one they did. That's fantastic.
Yeah, I got to check on like Luke Fortner's contract, but it really feels like Heck will be starting by next year if he doesn't.
He will be. I guarantee he will be. Even if it's not at center, they'll do something with the interior line. He'll be one of the 3 somehow, some way.
Well, right, yeah. 'Cause Fortner has this is his only year on the contract, and it was $2.7 million. So, yeah, probably not a long-term piece for them.
No,
but a good chance for him to try to audition for another team.
This is another guy you can copy and paste the same take about Will Lee. Zakee Wheatley was a guy that I was intrigued by at moments throughout the season. I just never fully bought into him. So I did have him as a UDFA. Almost everybody had him drafted. Everybody does. I'm the only person on planet Earth that had him as UDFA. I just couldn't get there. But I had, that was a reach by 106 to me. I gave it a T minus. I'm fully aware other people will rank that one a lot higher.
Well, and dude, like I had him at 147, so it was basically a +4 for me. So he went almost exactly where I thought he would. So that was a B. I do think he is a great piece for them to try to play with as a safety for this team.
Final pick for them, Jackson Quatch.
That's a fun name. Yeah.
He was one of the ones that I had to add to my board, which was surprising because I felt like I was doing pretty well with keeping like the MAC schools in there. But
miss for us. Missing on the MAC school.
But, this is 7th round linebacker. I gave it a C. It can't do any better than that because copy and paste, the whole Red Murdoch was there. Same conference.
Always.
Incredibly better linebacker than Quatch. And you went with Quatch. So I gave it a C, which is probably still too high. I guess so.
It's got to be because they like the name. It's the only thing I can come up with for them. So again, not what you're looking for overall out of that draft, but they did get a few pieces that are going to help them out. It's just one of those things, again, dude, it's hard to look at a team and say, well, you got a couple, but what about the rest of it? Because, again, NFL rosters now are built on cheap rookie contracts. You need to get value out of them, especially the ones that are not in the top 10 or 15 picks. And, again, Carolina did help themselves a bit, but, man, there were other opportunities for other players to come in. Which takes us to New Orleans. And the Saints are kind of going along with the trend of this division so far. They took Jordan Tyson, which, again, we've been cracking about that for months now, about how hilarious it would be if the Saints took an injury-prone wide receiver to pair with their injury-prone wide receiver.
And they did.
So shoot your shot, guys, right? It's just, you could have two incredibly dynamic outside boundary wide receivers which could support your second-year, 26-year-old quarterback who's trying to establish himself as the starter on this team. Or you could have Devon Vele, Mason Tipton, and Bub Means out there. Now, we like Bub a little bit, sure, but that's the thing. It's like you are really rolling the dice with guys who may or may not be healthy for you. I gave it a C+ because he could be great, but it was still a reach for me, and he also was not the wide receiver I would have had them take at that point anyways. What was your take on that pick?
On Tyson or Miller? Where are we going here?
Tyson.
I just can't make sense. Dude, it's going to be kind of like the same division. It's going to be the same thing with Ruben Bain. This is going to make or break this class for him. I mean, Tyson was the best wide receiver in the class. Everybody knows that on the tape. But so many injuries, man.
Yeah.
Like,
and it wasn't like
if
one.
If they weren't already in
injury.
a pickle with Olave, then I would have like graded this a lot higher. Like, okay, take the shot.
Right.
But you could be in a pickle where both of these guys are the water boys before the bye week.
Could be a dilly of a pickle, and that's the thing. Yep. Like not a bad player, but a bad fit.
Awesome
given
player.
What you've got exactly.
Just
now,
too much risk for New Orleans. Right. You know what I mean? You got this young quarterback that you allegedly like proved most of the world wrong on.
Sure.
Right, and you got a solid backfield with ETN and Kamara
what's left of Kamara
and Estime, like you got a solid backfield. You got weapons. You went out.
Your tackles are great. You know, I mean, there are a lot of pieces like this. And again, you're in the NFC South, which the NFC South is still a wide open division of mediocrity. So you've got all the potential pieces to put it together. And hey, look, they're taking the MLB strategy right now of home run or strikeout, right?
Yeah, and this could be one of those situations like, for example, and who knows which way it's going to go. But like when I was saying Brian Thomas Jr. it could be a bust, and then he lit it up, and now he looks terrible. This could be a thing where maybe Tyson stays healthy his rookie year, and people are like, oh yeah, they crushed it. Everybody was too scared, and then the next year you're like, oh,
pulls a hammy and he's out all season.
Full 180 on that draft grade. That's why you got to wait 3 years,
again,
man.
Yeah. Jordan Tyson is a poster child for why you have to wait 3 years before you evaluate a draft class, as we are here evaluating a draft class, because this is what people do, right? Christian Miller was their next pick in the second round. I gave this one an A. That's probably a bit high. I think I'm actually going to change it now that I'm looking at it to like about a B+.
I give it a B-.
Yeah. He's about where I thought he would go. He's a little bit of a value, but again, he is a solid defensive tackle, and they needed that because my boy Brian Brzee just never quite panned out. I think he's still going to be there as a rush guy for them. Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. I will take the L on my love of Clemson edge rushers from that draft, or just off defensive linemen from that draft. That was a whiff for me. He's still going to be starting this year for him because they don't have anybody else. But that's also why you draft.
Do you kind of just feel like
Christian Miller?
Clemson's one of those schools where you're like, man, I really like these guys, but this is how I feel. in college, I'm like, I really like all these players. And I'm like, but I'm not going to put a high grade on them because I just don't trust it. It's like the opposite of Iowa.
Right. Well, and that's the thing, because Clemson built some trust for a little bit, but it does feel like, well, I'm not knocking Dabo. I think he's a good coach. He's won a national championship, but it feels like he's lost touch a little bit with how to progress guys from college to the NFL.
They just don't translate as well as they should.
Yeah, you'd think with a program at that level they would. But anyway, Christian Miller should be a good piece for them coming out of Georgia, so that'll help them out. And then they took Oscar Delp in the third round. And you liked him better than me, but I have this as an F because he was
I have it as an F.
Like a huge reach. Huge reach. He was one of those tight end reaches.
Negative 59. I had a 5th round grade on him. They got him in the 3rd round. That's a 2-round difference.
I had him as a 7th round grade, so there you go. And again, he's just a guy.
He was a guy that I thought could be, whenever he came out, could be the tight end 1 in his class. And I still think that potential is there with him based on his traits and athleticism. It just never came to fruition. Yeah, I did, but he still got picked too early.
Yeah.
Too early.
Again,
if somebody would have taken him an early day 3 pick, I'd be like, okay, I understand totally. But you're still on day 2, y'all. Like
exactly. Almost 6'5", 245. So yeah, all the potential in the world, hasn't realized any of it. Jeremiah Wright, I probably have him lower than a lot of other people did. I do think it's a D for me because he's probably a better player than I think he is, and I do believe that New Orleans needed help on the inside of their offensive line desperately. So that was more of a need pick for them. And again, I had him still as like 100 spots lower than where he got drafted.
I had UDFA on him. He was in that top 12 pack that I keep referencing of my UDFAs, but he's still a UDFA, and you grabbed him in the 4th round. Come on.
Right. Next up was their best pick in the draft, in my opinion, and that's grabbing Bryce Lance.
Yep.
And they got him probably at least 2 rounds, I think, almost exactly 2 rounds later than I thought he would probably go. I thought he was going to be a late 2nd round pick, and it said they got him in the 4th.
You said I think I agree with you. Bryce Lance is probably their best pick. It's crazy because do you feel like this is like the COA or CYOA? How do they say it's a cover your ass pick? All right.
yeah.
I don't know what that acronym is, but because if one and or both of Olave and Tyson go down, Lance is a guy that he's an older cat. I get it, but he was balling out. He was balling out, and he's physically imposing. So this is exactly what I said it is, whatever that acronym is. And I gave it an A.
Sure. That one actually was an S for me, but in the same ballpark. I mean, like he's going to give them an option, at least at some depth, if somebody does get hurt. The next 3 picks. Didn't like him. Just going to say that right now. Lorenzo Styles Jr., yes, he's fast. Kind of had basically a 7th round / UDFA.
I liked one of them.
Okay, Barry and Brown. I know they needed more wide receivers, right? He's more of a slot guy. Still had him as kind of that 7th round UDFA spot. So
I had UDFA on him. I had 7th on Styles, but TJ Hall.
I had
6 on.
I still gave him a D because I had a 7th on him. What? But of those 3, he is.
I gave it
best.
a B. Okay. I had a plus 51 on him.
Okay, well, he's like minus 20 for me. So
he gets a plus 30 just because he comes from Iowa, and I feel like the bust rate is a lot lower.
And again, he's almost 6'1", 189, passable, like slower than you'd like him to be, but decent guy, like decent. So yeah, he's a guy who, as a 7th round pick, sure, shoot your shot on a player in that spot. But taking this Saints draft as a whole, it cannot be. It might be 4th actually in this division.
Well, I don't disagree with you, but
well.
I would currently, and I'm still ranking this division live because it was the hardest one for me to rank. I currently have them in the 3 spot with Atlanta in the 4, only because there's so much that hinges on. Because if Pierce does not work out and he ends up being a guy
that goes against you,
that's a huge blow for ties in 2 drafts. You know what I mean? In a way,
right?
So Atlanta could easily be better if Pierce gets his shit together, but I don't know that. I don't know that yet, and it is a big if. So I have Atlanta at 4 for now, and the Saints at 3. So your teams are bringing in the rear here, but still not by much. What do you got? Who's your 3 and 4?
Same.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just different order.
I was trying to debate: is Carolina better than New Orleans? And yes, I think they're a little bit better than New Orleans. I think Tampa's the best in this division, dude.
Okay, well, it's crazy
even with what they did with Ruben.
True story. When we were doing the show, I thought I had Carolina in the one spot just because they got Monroe Freeling, and he was only one. He had an actual true second round grade, and I didn't get any of that with Tampa. But as I talked about them, my teams, I was like, oh damn, hearing myself talk out loud, I do like Tampa's better, which is scary. So I do have Tampa at 1, Carolina at 2, Saints at 3, Falcons at 4.
I'm fine with that. Might flip flop 3 and 4 depending how you're feeling, or 2 and 3. Yeah, I think Tampa's the best out of this group. So
Tampa still doesn't beat any of those AFC teams.
No,
and I don't even know. I don't know. I guess they're. I don't know. Is it even worth it at this point to say who the best in the NFC is thus far?
We need to have someone come out of the NFC, so we don't have to say who it is thus far. We do need to kind of keep it in mind that, because the West was just an absolute dumpster fire in comparison to the other divisions. So Seattle's not going to beat any of the other teams we talked about. Tampa, I don't think, is ahead of either New York or Philly personally, but maybe they're in that conversation. But that's my point. Not impressed so far with the NFC.
Let's. I'm going to check all those. I'm going to check the East real quick because I feel like just to do it service, we got to do it.
Sure.
So I got Washington checked. I got Philly. I just need to check the Giants. Who did I have at 1?
You had the Giants ahead of Philly. I
had the Giants. I had the Giants at 1. I still got to give the Giants above Tampa. They got Reese and Maui Noah, who I like a lot. Colton Hood and Fields, I liked where they were. Yeah, I've got the Giants as 1 so far. Let me go check the West real quick.
Again, I don't think you want to, but sure, go for it.
I don't think I do, but to be fair and do the show justice.
Thorough. Yeah.
Yes.
We'll just remind everybody that NFC West teams, apologies again. You're not going to be happy with how this whole thing turned out for you. Just not.
Oh no,
not good.
No, I think I even have Tampa above everybody out there. So
I do.
I guess my top 2 right now would be the Giants and Cowboys, and then Tampa at 3. That's my top 3 for the NFC right now.
I think for me it's Giants, Philly, and Tampa. I didn't like Dallas's draft as much as you did. That being said,
I don't either. We got right now is basically the Giants and shit.
Yeah, it pretty much covers it. Before we get to the North, though, you, sir, have a story that we have promised people for 2 shows to tell.
Yeah, that's
true.
So it's been a minute, so I don't know if I'll tell it as well as I did originally. But one of my little local whiskey hookup spots. I was stopping into what bottle was I going in to pick? Oh, because they got me killer. The best bourbon I've ever had in my entire life.
Mm-hmm.
You got me, sir. Thank you for that. It was back in the old COVID days, I think, right? Or post
2020 times.
It was during COVID, wasn't it?
It was end of 2020. So it was when people were starting to loosen up a little bit, but still also were freaked out.
So you found the E.H. Taylor Barrel Proof Batch 9, 130.3 proof. Still to this day, the best whiskey. I won't even say bourbon. The best whiskey, the best liquor I've ever tasted. I would say it's the best alcohol I've ever tasted. I've never had a beer that I like better than that. That is the top of the list for me. And he somehow managed to, my guys there found that bottle despite it being roughly 6 years old. And I was stopping in to get that. But when I opened the door to walk in, and I just hear him shout my name like loud. And I'm like, what the hell? What's going on? And they're yelling, we need help. I'm like what's going on? Cheers. Yeah, I thought that, but then I heard then they doubled down on and we need help. I was like, what's going on? Like, are we in trouble here? Is there a medical
moving
emergency?
Cases? Yeah.
Like, what the hell is going on? And I'm like, where are you even? I couldn't even see them. Like, nobody was behind the counter. They're in a completely different area of the store behind a counter. I find them. And they're like, we're doing a barrel pick. I'm like, oh, geez. That was a hell of an intro. It freaked me out. And they're like, dude, help us out. I'm like, okay. So I go back there. I'm sampling them. And the first one I sample, I was like, whew, that's interesting. And it was a little sweet. You know what I mean? I was like, it might be a little sweet for me, but I could see how the public would like that one. But let's go and let's get on to number 2 here. And I taste 2. I'm like, man, that's pretty familiar. And they're like, yeah? Like, what is it like? I'm like, it's it's like a craft one. It's definitely, you can tell it's not like your typical Kentucky juice. Man, dare I say, it's got like, gives me vibes of like Still Austin. Like, really? Like, yeah, it kind of does. I'm like, I like that one better than one, but it's polar opposite. One was super sweet. Two was super spicy. But I like that. I'm like, it gives me like a rye vibe of Still Austin. I'm like, okay. And then there's two other guys like probably 30 feet away, and they're like, what? And I was like, huh? And I'm like, so, and I'm like, I've never seen these guys before. I'm like, and I'm like, oh, I was like, did you guys taste them? You don't like this one or what? And they didn't say anything, and they like walked over to me and they're like, what's your name? Told them my name, like introduced myself. They shook my hand, and then I saw the logo on the shirt. They're from Still Austin.
I love that.
And they're like, you headshot that thing. They're like that. All three of these are 100% rye, and it is Still Austin. And we've never done a barrel program with any store in the entire state of Michigan. This store would be the first one, and you got it. It's like I probably couldn't do that again. The odds of ever doing that with any distillery are very, very slim. It was just probably dumb luck. I don't know. Maybe I just came off from sipping some Still Austin, so my palate was aware.
Your palate is good, man.
But
your nose is trash. We talked about that before.
Yes, it is. I did tell them there's no shot that one was 100% rye. It was so sweet. And they did admit that they did something, a little different on that one to get it a different profile, if you will. Sure. And I was like, okay, well, I don't know what you did, but it doesn't taste anything like rye. Like, it actually kind of reminds me of like this Iowa Legendary.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I don't know if you can see that. Because this is 100% rye, and it tastes like a freaking Werther's candy. It's like butterscotch.
Yep.
So maybe they did something along those lines. But long story short, it was just an awesome experience. I went with 3, in case anybody wanted to know. To me, with 3, the third one was like half of 1 and half of 2.
Gotcha.
Because it came up, it was like sweet up front and then finished with a spice, and it was more of an experience, and it was more balanced. It was like 3 by a landslide. I guess we'll make the story a little bit longer. But the guys running the store, or one of the Still Austin guys goes, really, not 1? I go, nah, man, it's too sweet. I'm like, I mean, what did everybody else think? What did they taste? Like, we just opened it up. Like, you're the first one to taste them. It's like, oh, well, this is dumb. I'm like, you guys got to taste them.
Tainted their taste, yeah.
Right. So one of the guys from the store tasted it, and he tasted one, and he goes, oh, yeah, it's just too sweet. And one of the guys, who's actually a part owner of some sort of Still Austin, goes, really? And then the guy with him who like was managing like the Chicago region, he's like, all right, I'm going to do this with you. So he went down the line too. And he goes, because he's like, I haven't had these ones yet, because they obviously drink a ton of Still Austin, right? And he tastes the first one. He goes, wow, that one is a lot sweeter than I expected. He's like, yep, 2 is a lot. It's the complete opposite. A lot spicier. But he got to 3 too, and he's like, wow. He's like, that one is absolutely delightful, was the word he used. Okay. I was like, it's the winner by a mile for me. But then the guys running the store, like, but the problem is like, you guys like are, what you're talking about. Like, I need to sell this product.
What are the people going to want? Right.
So it's like, am I going to sell more if I go the sweeter one or not? And I go, I'll tell you what, if you go with 3, I'll probably walk out with 3 or 4 of those bottles. Just saying.
There you go. Yeah, and that's the thing. Cool, like, you hit the Goldilocks spot right there, man. And that I do think, because of how people, you have to be inclined to drink whiskey to begin with to want to do that kind of stuff. And I wouldn't be surprised if that sweet one comes out in some shape or form for them, as maybe like a Still Austin. No, I'm not gonna call it Still Austin Honey, but some kind of reference point to that. But that's interesting. I didn't realize those were ryes when you were talking about them, so that was fun.
100% rye. It's a 100. All 3 of them. There was nothing else in them.
Yeah, which again isn't necessarily always the case when you talk about ryes. Because again, I remember when I was at the Wild Turkey Distillery and heard the story about how the Russell's rye is made at 51% rye because the guy who was distilling at the time doesn't like rye. And so we made it the lowest rye you could possibly have and still be considered rye. And that is one of the things to factor in. If you are someone who doesn't like a rye, find one that is a lower amount and you might be okay with it. If you love a rye, find one that's 100% rye like you do, sir, and have yourself a jolly old time. I didn't have any ryes to add to this whole mess. I actually am still sitting on an Evernorth rye that I have not opened yet because I haven't found the right moment of people to share it with. But
Evernorth rye, it was so much better than the bourbon, at least. And they're, they source it and they finish it their way, and each batch is different. But I got the ones that I have. The rye was, it was so much better.
Well, what I did do, though, was go and grab a little working lunch, if you will, with my friend Madison, who is someone who shoots with me when I do pictures and photos and stuff like that. So shooting with a camera, as opposed to other things. And we met up in Lowell, Michigan, which is just outside of Grand Rapids. It's heading towards your way in Lansing a little bit. There's a place called Hop Hog, which is a great name, and the logo is literally a hog head with the hop body. It's for the body of the pig. It's cute. And I will preface my take on all of their beer with, I think their CO2 was running out a little bit in their beer line. And so it felt like everything was a little flat. So I don't want to hold that against them too much. I want to go there again and try it again and see if it was the beer or if it was the setup. But none of the beers wildly impressed me. They were fine. I tell you what, I had a pulled chicken nacho. Madison did a pulled pork nacho, but with waffle fries.
Oh, she made the right choice.
Yeah, I know. I was trying something different. So we should have done the pulled pork. Fair. But the girl who was working there liked the chicken. The chicken was good. It just wasn't as great. But they had their 4 or 5 barbecue sauces. And they had a mac and cheese sauce on the nachos. And it was waffle fries instead of chips. So, yeah, the food was fun. And again, it was like a $10 meal thing on a lunchtime during the week sort of deal. But the beer was good, but not great across the board. Average to good, right? So we had one called Rice Cold, which was a 50-50 blend of a Pilsner and rice. And so that was very much like Madison sipped it and said, so this is Coors Light. Basically, it's very much in that style. But the rice, which is a nod to the Sapporos and the Japanese lagers that they've got out there, it made it a little bit more fresh for me, so I didn't mind that, but it was still 2.5, because again, that beer is just never going to get that high of a grade because it's not a style I like that much. But I give them full props for having some fun with IPAs. They did one called the Wicked Dock, and that is a reference to it being a Northeast IPA that is a black Northeast IPA.
I love black IPAs.
One, that was interesting because now you're marrying the kind of hazy piece with the black. So you had a roasty hazy. It was strange. And that was my favorite out of the group. That one got a 3.5 for me. And again,
just because of the uniqueness, or because it actually
the flavor was profile? Good. The flavor was good. The uniqueness got it at a few points, and I want to try it again next time I go there because I want to see if the beer line was like that. Because the one that made me wonder about the beer line was one that they called Redbeard's Rising with RYE, and that was a red rye IPA.
I like red rye IPAs too,
which I thought was going to be great. Right, it ended up being a 3 for me because it just felt flat. It just did not have, and again, don't get me wrong, sometimes carbonation's a little bit of a mixed bag anyways, but it didn't have, and it also had so much hop on it that it was almost overpowering. How
sounds like
but not in the way you're hoping, because it wasn't just the bitterness. You know how when you drink an Islay malt that you've been stuck drinking on occasion for the scotches that taste
not really,
you're eating.
I don't do that.
Well, yeah. An Islay malt tastes like you're eating the ground, right? Yep. This one tasted like I was chewing on actual hops, and so it was too hop forward for me. So you may like it. It was, and I like a bite to a beer. I like bitterness, but it was so much hops that it overpowered everything else. And I feel like that was a little bit off on the blend for me personally. And then they had one that was incredibly well named, Dad Tax, with an exclamation point. It is a stout brewed with Halloween candy. But thankfully enough, they didn't overdo the candy, so it wasn't too sweet. And it tasted just fine. It was a solid stout.
Sounds like they're extremely experimental.
But they do have some fun with their beer, and that's why I want to go back again. I give them full props for trying some of that stuff, and I want to see if it was the beer line or if it's how they make the beer. So I approve of any place that's going to try to get outside of the normal realm of what people make. because it gives you a point of difference. It makes things unique, gives you an opportunity to try different things and impress people. Or, hey, sometimes you swing and miss. But props to y'all for trying is the important part. So if you're in the West Michigan area, go check out Hop Hog in Lowell. No, I'm not paid to say that. I think they're worth a look, and the food is good too. So there you go. Let's go to Minnesota.
Minnesota, man. I'll be fully transparent here. I still have not graded the Caleb Banks pick. And here's the reason why. Because Caleb Banks, when I watched the tape from 2 years ago, he was a top probably 4 player in the draft class for me.
Okay.
I moved him way down because he's a little older than what I thought. Then all of a sudden he ended up being a little younger than the little older that I thought. He's still 23, but I thought the rumors were he's like 25, and it turns out he's 23. But the biggest problem is I completely like give a forgiveness for the tape not being that great from this past year because he was playing on broken foot. Yeah, serious. You know what I mean? But I got to give him bonus points for battling through it. Got to give him bonus points for still working out through the offseason process. He's still got to have the foot surgery, or maybe he has already. I don't quote me on that. But I guess at the end of the day, though, it's just the fear of a man of that size having long-term foot problems just seems like a big risk to take in the first round. So this could be an F, this could be a C, or this could be an A+. It just depends. If he stays healthy and looks like he did 2 years ago, then Minnesota's going to look like a freaking genius.
Right.
But they could also look incredibly dumb. I just don't know what to grade it. I don't know if that just makes me just put a C and go middle of the road, knowing that he's not going to be a C. I feel like this is going to be A or F.
Yeah. Well, and I gave him a D because I expected to be more like the F, and also because this was an area of need for Minnesota, was the defensive line.
Yes.
And you
which
took
is why
a
it's hard.
huge swing.
You did, but they went with the guy who has the biggest ceiling over anyone in this class.
Sure. Okay.
And Zala has something to say about it, too.
I think she agrees with me. I don't think she's a big fan. I don't know. We'll see.
I don't. She can't agree with me because I don't even agree. I don't have a grade yet. I just don't. But the next pick, I do have a grade. They got an A freaking plus. They got the freaking on there. Jake Golday. We talked about many teams who should have taken him over linebackers that had gone ahead of him. That's plus 16. Absolutely love the pick. Next, they got Dominic. They go on a terrible run here. Dominic Orange. A lot of people love this guy. I had a 7th round grade on him. They got him in the 3rd. I gave that an F. Caleb Tiernan.
Nose tackle.
I liked him a lot until I didn't. He got progressively worse. Like every week, it felt like when I watched the tape. I had a 5th round grade on him despite all that. I think he's got to be a guard, and maybe he can be a solid guard, but he still took him in the 3rd round. There's a reach by 35. So call that a D plus or maybe
a C minus for me.
Actually, D minus or an F is probably what I would go.
You can't give him an F. Come on now. He's not that bad.
Jacoby Thomas, safety from Miami, a guy I had a 7th round grade on. They took him in the 3rd. That was a reach by 103. That's an F.
It was a D minus for me, but darn close to an F.
Max Bredesen, 7th round grade on him. Still gave it an S because he's a fullback. I'm kidding.
I believe you though.
I gave it a D. They could have. I can't think that he was gonna. I thought he would be a UDFA if anything, but still gave it a D because he's a fullback.
Right.
Next, I got Charles Demings, little small school guy. I actually gave this a B plus. It was a plus 31 on my board. I had a 5th round grade on him. They got him in the fifth round, so I like that. Damon Claiborne. I had a 5th round grade on him. They got him in the 6th round. I had a plus 66. I gave that an A. I absolutely love that. It was a
plus 73 for me, so I gave it an A plus.
I absolutely love that. Second best pick they made. Damon Claiborne and Jake Golday.
Yeah, they needed to get younger at running back. This gives them basically the person
they need to
can
change
plug
the
in
pace
for
guy
Jones.
too.
Exactly. Yep.
And then Gavin Gerhardt, another guy that I had to add to my list here. Cincinnati Bearcats. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, you're in the 7th round, shoot your shot. It's an old lineman. I gave it you give it like a C minus. It is, I can't butcher it too bad. 7th round. Sure, I had a UDFA on him, but it is what it is. So 2 good picks. One solid pick, and then a bunch that and then one ungraded pick. I don't know.
Right.
Put it this way. If Caleb Banks is the Caleb Banks of 2 years ago, they're not last in this division. Spoiler alert, I do have them last for the time being.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you on that, and that's the thing. They are hinging their pick on a large
Mm-hmm.
man's foot, which throughout the course of sports history, hinging your pick on a large man's foot does not usually go well for you in the
No.
preponderance of evidence, right? Chicago Bears, they made some interesting choices. They made some picks that we loved. They
I'm
made some
still
picks we didn't
pissed.
love. We're
What
going to
pick did
start
they
off
make
with the
that
first pick,
the
though.
only ones I loved were like 3 of the last 4.
I liked 2 of their last 5 or whatever. Here's the thing.
Oh, I'm talking
It
about the
doesn't
ones that
matter.
I gave terrible grades to. I loved those picks.
Gotcha. Yeah, it does
See?
not matter how the Bears did with the rest of their draft because
Nope.
in the
They
first
pissed me
round
off.
they got Dylan Thieneman, and
Mhm.
I had so much fun reveling in your misery, sir. Go ahead, do this take.
No. Nope. I already did it.
Yeah, look, this is
I
the
did it
10th guy on
live.
my board. He's the second guy on your board, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was number 2, and he went at 25. That's an S. Obviously, it's an S for both
Mhm.
of us. He fills a need. He is going to be an absolute nightmare in the backfield in the defensive backfield for everybody in that division, including your own Detroit Lions. So I was ecstatic with this pick as a Bears fan. Skyler, I'm pretty confident, was ecstatic with this pick as our resident, even more of a Bears fan than I am.
He texted me and asked me how I felt about it, and I let it all hang out, and he goes, great, I love it.
It's all perspective, right? Yeah. I mean, I would have loved that pick regardless because I do agree with you that he is a great player for them and can play anywhere around that backfield.
Dude,
but the
here's
fact
what I
that he
wanna
went to the
say.
Bears, oh my goodness.
Here's what I want to say. Look at what the Bears have been doing in the past few drafts for guys that I absolutely love. Even if you go back, I love Johnson, but recently, I mean, Thieneman, obviously, we're talking about him, loved it. Dunze, loved it. Dunze was my number 1 wide receiver.
Right.
Loveland was my number 1 tight end. Thieneman was my number 1 safety. They keep getting my number 1 guys at all these positions. I don't care. This isn't the show for it, but I know they're younger, so to be determined if they'll actually finish better.
Right.
But, dude, the Bears have completely surpassed the Packers and me being more afraid of them.
Okay, sure. But not in how much you dislike them.
Oh, 100%.
Make sure
I
we're
hate the
clear on
Packers
that.
way more. I am stoked that Thieneman is a Bear and not a Packer.
It's fair. Oh, yes. No, I would agree with that 100%. So, obviously, because I like the Bears more than the Packers. Anyways, the next pick they made, dude, a bit higher than I thought he was going to go, which is why it's a B-. But Logan Jones,
I gave it a
top
B-
center.
too. Yeah.
Our top center in the draft, but we both kind of had him as a 3rd rounder, not a 2nd rounder. And again, that was one of the interesting things you heard from, I think it was Baltimore, had Jones as one of their top centers too. They just didn't expect him to go that early. It's one of the reasons why they ended up not taking a center. It's interesting because they made the trade that they did for Bradbury, who right now is probably going to be their starter. But there's a world where Logan Jones has a great offseason, takes over the starting role as a rookie, and that makes it interesting for them. That being said, I think he will be starting here by next year, without a doubt, in that position. You can draft him there to do that. Next pick is probably one we disagree on a little bit. I had Roush as a C. You probably had
I gave him a B-, but the problem is I struggled with even giving it a B. I only gave him the B- because he's a my guy, and here I was waiting for you to get to the 3rd one. Safety, my guy was Thieneman.
Right.
Interior lineman, my guy was Logan Jones. Tight end, my guy was Sam Roush. Bears hit up 3 my guys.
You were
just saying. But the problem...
Go ahead.
I was just going to say the problem with Roush is I just can't...
Where does he?
Does he
play?
It does make sense from like the inline blocking tight end for like all that stuff. I get it, but like at the same time, they must be letting Cole Kmet go. Like, what are you going to do with Loveland, Kmet, and Roush? You don't need.
I got to think. Yeah, they're planning for next year, kind of a thing with that pick, but you don't do that, in my opinion, in the 3rd round. Now you were furious with the Bears throughout most of the first 2 days of the draft, but then they redeemed themselves with the next pick at the end of the 3rd round. They took Xavier Thomas straight.
That's enough. It's an awesome pick.
And so, Stocky, they're talking about maybe using him as a running back, I think. So
I was just going to say that.
Go ahead.
I saw something saying that Ben Johnson found his Jahmyr Gibbs. I think you were the one who sent it to me, actually.
So I sent you that because we're trying to get better at doing X stuff, right, and having the hot takes. And I didn't end up posting this because I was away from that link to it. But basically, it's like someone's like he got his Gibbs, and I'm like, forget Sonic. That boy ain't even tails. I'm sorry, he's not. And it's a interesting pick to make in the 5th or 6th round. not in the third round. Just do not understand that pick in any way, shape, or form. A whiff for the Bears right there. Yeah, of course.
The next pick was very good. Second best pick they made.
That's an A, man. That is an A.
I give it an A+.
Okay, look at you. But Malik Muhammad is a guy, he may not start right away because they do have Tyreek Stevenson. They do have Jalen Johnson, so they don't necessarily need him to be a day one starter, but he has incredible potential to be a piece in that secondary and gives them some flexibility when you look at contracts going forward as a guy that can be at least a number 2, I feel like, on a team. He was about a round ahead of, or a round after, rather, where I thought he was going to get taken. I thought he was going to be a third round pick. Keyshawn Elliott, this is a B for me. He went about where I thought he would. He's maybe a little bit of a value. He's
D-.
He's a decent piece, when it comes to a linebacker. They could use some help. There's no doubt about that, but mainly because they've got guys who are getting a little older in Devin Bush and TJ Edwards. So he's a piece for the future for them, which is what you're looking for out of a guy in the 5th round anyways, so not bad. And then they grabbed Jordan Vandenberg, a guy that I didn't even have on my list.
Same.
And
I gave that a D.
The hype train is moving for him with all of the Bears people talking about how good he looked in the rookie minicamp, stuff like that. And that's great, but also not a guy. It was a D- for me. It's the 6th round, so you're going to take a guy you want to take, and they did. And they do need help on the D line. But the biggest reason why this Bears draft will not win this division, even with Dylan Thieneman, they didn't get an edge rusher. They still don't have anybody to go opposite Montez Sweat. Right now, they have Odingbeyo, who they must think is going to have a better season than last year. Austin Booker could turn into something, but
they could have taken one of the guys that the Packers took instead of Xavier Thomas.
Exactly. We'll talk about them here in a second, but that's the thing. Overall, Bears should have had a better draft than they did. There were some great moments, and there were some stinkers. So let's talk about the poops.
All right, I'll do my quick rundown here. We can just do it one by one together, I guess. The first pick that they had was in the 2nd round for obvious reasons, Micah Parsons.
Yeah.
So, Brandon Cisse, I had a 3rd round grade on him, but I only had a problem if people were going to take him in the 1st round. The 3rd round grades, just a reminder, they do go in the 2nd round because there's not a lot of 1st round grades.
Right.
Yeah, man, I gave it a B+. It was a +6 on my board.
Yeah.
It made me annoyed, so they must have done something right. And then they go get two back-to-back my guys at the respective positions as well. Chris McClellan, D lineman, they got him at a +28. That's an A. What'd you give it?
I gave it an A as well. He was a little bit higher on your board, but still, he was in that range.
And then the guy I was talking about tonight, Dennis Sutton. That's who the Bears could have taken instead of Xavier Thomas. This was an S pick. Plus 91. Even if the Bears would have taken him a little bit earlier, I still would have probably given it at least an A+.
Now, I will say this, though. You know what I find funny about that DDS pick? If you look, again, Fantasy Points is what I'm using right now because our lights doesn't want to load on my computer. They have him as the 3rd string outside linebacker right now, behind Lucas Van Ness and Brenton Cox and Baron Sorrell on the other side. So that's kind of funny to me that they have him that far down on the list. I don't know. I think he should definitely be. He has a very good path to a lot of snaps this year.
Yeah, he's going to be edge rusher 3 on that team behind Van Ness and Parsons.
And, dude,
Parsons isn't going to start right away. I think he's going to miss for a few games.
Right, and that's why he has a really good chance to start hot. And if Van Ness doesn't become the player that you thought he would be, might be number 2.
He started to look like it, but sure. Then the wheels fall off a little bit, thankfully, with the last 3 picks. But some people say no. Yager Burton.
Sure.
A lot of people love that. A 6th round grade on him. He went in the 5th. I couldn't butcher it too bad. It was only a -15, so that's like a C+, B- range.
Yeah, I give him a C-, but he's a guy that I probably like better than where I had him slotted on the list. It's a good opportunity for them to grab a guy that's going to give them some options in the interior of their offensive line, which is still a dumpster fire in my opinion.
I'm changing it to a C. I just don't.
Sure.
I was never high on him. But anyways.
No, but they needed help in the inside.
Damani Jackson's the next guy they get in the 6th round. I gave that a C. His tape is awful. But my goodness, I remember he was committed to Michigan for a while coming out of school, and I was so high on him as a prospect.
Right.
Man, it just didn't work out. He went to USC instead. He didn't do well there. Then he transfers to Bama. Didn't do well there. So
that's
I don't know.
A D+ for me.
I gave it a C just on based on the traits alone and how we're talking 6th round. You know what I mean? Why not? But they take a kicker. I love that.
Which, great name for the kicker.
I don't know what his name is.
Points
his name is K. His name's just K.
Name is K. You just didn't even. It just doesn't matter. You do not get noted in our list because you are a kicker. That is.
I do the same thing with punters. Punters are P's.
The man's name is Trey Smack. That's a great name for a kicker. So points to him for that. But overall, this is an annoying draft because they really did well with their first 3 picks. And I say annoying because obviously I'm not a Green Bay fan. So when they start making picks we don't like, that's usually a good sign there. I feel like that's probably better than the other 2 drafts that we saw.
See, I'd put Chicago above them because Chicago got a true first-round grade, and 3 of my guys were the Green Bay Packers got a true second-round grade in an S pick. Yeah,
right.
But like I still got to give the nod to Chicago just because they got that blue chip player.
Right. No, I agree with you. Now that I look at it again, so now it's time to move on to Detroit. Let's wrap up with the Lions before we get to our full sort of breakdown on all of this. Dude. They did what they needed to do right away.
Yeah, and they got the tackle that I wanted out of all the tackles in this class. Blake Miller was the one I wanted if they were going to go tackle and not go outside of the dire position of need, and take a Dylan Thieneman. Yes. Basically, when they came up, I was like, I would take Dylan Thieneman just because I think he's that good of a player. But if they don't go him, I want Blake Miller. And they did that. So, and it's funny because they took him at 17, and I had him ranked at 17.
Oh, there you go.
Which is even more fun. So that's an A pick for me.
It's an A minus, but still.
And I had a second-round grade on him. I'll throw that out there. But then the other crazy thing is the second round, I had a second-round grade on Derek Moore as well. Right. Yeah, we had to throw in a little bit of draft capital to move up and get him, but he was still at a plus 13. It would have been an A pick for me had they not had to throw in that capital, so I just give it a B plus.
I gave it an A even with the capital because of how much I think he is such a great fit for them. Well, it's a need, but also, again, we talked about him as a really good number 2 kind of a guy, and he is going to be in a perfect spot to be a number 2 with Hutch on the other side. So I really do think that it's an area of need, and it's a player who's going to fit well with what they want to do.
I'm also factoring in the fact that Gabe Akis was there. Like, I'm fine with them taking him over Dennis Sutton. I get that. They were about even for me anyways. But Gabe Akis was the guy that I really, really liked.
Well, and I had more ahead of Akis, so there you go.
And I did at points of the season, too. So I factored that. Like I said,
do you want to do
this
that?
isn't... This
do you want to do a bet? You want to bet against the Lions player? You want to do a Moore and Akis bet?
Yeah, because I win no matter what.
All right, let's
literally
do that.
No matter what, because my second favorite team, either way, and then if
All
I
right,
lose,
Moore and
then
Akis,
the Lions
we're doing that. We're going to do that.
That's
our edge rusher. Actually, we have 2 edge rusher now. This is our backup edge rusher.
Oh, yeah.
Because
the first one's already done.
Exactly.
You lost.
So this one will be an actual one. There you go. All right. Then in the 4th, man, because, again, Detroit just doesn't want third-round draft picks.
At least it was the 4th round for them to start taking their shots.
But, man, this is a D for me. Jimmy Rolder could be something special, but I give it
an F. I gave it an F. There were just too many. I had Jimmy Rolder as in my top 12 UDFAs.
Sure.
And he would have been a ranked player, but there's just so little tape on him. He didn't even start until last year, and even then it wasn't like crazy tape. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I just couldn't do it. Like,
and this is once again, we remind people, could have had Red Murdoch.
Yep. But I also understand that there are a ton of draft media buzz about Jimmy Rolder, like the week or two prior to the draft. Just people were all over it. So I knew he was going to go way higher than what I had. I guess I was hoping it wasn't to Detroit. But hey, he's a Michigan guy, and all right, we'll
see where he goes. And again, he's going to help out on special teams right away, but you're usually hoping for a little more out of a 4th-round pick. But boy, they came back and nailed their 5th-round pick because Keith Adams,
highest graded pick I gave it an A+. What did you give it?
I gave it an S because I had Abney higher than you did. It was 105 for the value.
Mine's plus 68 value.
Right, which is why there's a difference in those 2 picks. But still, a slot corner who can come in and give you options and kind of more or less shove Ennis Rakestraw out the door if he can't stay healthy this year. Who, again, we both liked him. You had him higher than I did at one point before you found out the size.
If he was bigger, he was my CB3 and might have been CB2 once I factored in the fear of the old Jermod McCoy, because I moved Chris Johnson to 2 because of the fear. So if I like Abney's tape even better than Chris Johnson's in a way. He's just smaller. So if they leave him as just a nickel and don't ask him to be on the outside, which unless they're in a pinch, they did it with Amik Robinson too, and he actually played better on the outside than the nickel to me anyways.
Right.
But if they let him do what he can do and don't ask him to do things he can't, then I absolutely love this pick. Love it.
And the nice thing is, even with the DB challenges the Lions have had the last couple years, he probably still isn't going to be called on to start right away anyways. He'll be able to work in a rotation, get some snaps, and see how he fits. And then it's the whiplash, man. They went from an S pick for me to an F pick with Kendrick Law. I'm sorry.
I gave Law a D, and I would be okay with it. Like, I understand it, like what they're doing with him. The only reason I don't understand it is because they drafted him to be the next Khalif Raymond, right?
Sure.
But didn't they just go out and sign Dortch to be the next Khalif Raymond?
Well, yeah.
So now we have two. We lose Khalif, and now we got 2 of them
with 2 not Khalifs. Yeah, and Dortch I think is even smaller than Law. So Law at least is almost 6 foot 200. So he's
Law is built and moves.
Sure.
So like to me, I would have given this a much higher grade had we not signed Dortch. Like, dude, that's perfect. I get it. You're in the 5th round. Khalif filled a very important role for, special teams and coming in and just being an energy guy off the bench. But we just did that. So now
you talked me into a D- though, because I don't think I factored in some of his numbers the way he was. He just wasn't a guy. I think I was annoyed at the time because there were other guys I would have rather had them take it several.
100%. Absolutely true.
But looking at the vacuum of him against other players, D- maybe not an F. Now we follow this up with an A+ pick for me with Skylar Gill Howard.
And this is funny
because this guy.
He's another one of those guys that I gave him a B because I had a 6th round grade on him. He took him in the 6th round, which ended up being a +37. It's a guy that I did not like because people were making him go in like the 3rd round, and I was like, absolutely not. So I continuously bashed this guy.
Sure.
Then he turns around and goes in the 6th round. It's like, oh, okay. So I was perfectly fine with this pick.
He's a player that if he stays healthy will be a very valuable piece as an interior rush guy, I think, if anything else. And he's in a good spot in Detroit where he, again, does not have to come in and contribute right away. So loved that pick. And then they went and grabbed Tyre West, who wasn't even on my list.
He wasn't on my – I had him as a UDFA, but again, this is a 7th round. And if you're taking anybody in the 7th round that has D-line versatility where he can move up and down it, just in a pinch, like – as a rotational guy or developmental guy, like I gave it a C. It's not what I would have done at all, but I get it.
It was a D. I didn't like it. I thought there were other players that I would have much rather had them take. Because again, let's not forget who was there at 222 on the D line that you and I both were much more in favor of. Uar!
Don't want to talk about it.
Could have had Uar Bernard.
Should I do that? I'll close the show out with that, with the picks that I would have done for Detroit.
No, go for it. Do it right now.
So
because that's where we're at, and then we'll wrap up with how we rank everybody. But yeah, because this is something JP's been doing for 25 years. Let's get it on tape.
So
digital transfer media.
Oh wow, I was okay. I did not. I just said I retract my statement. I said that I would have taken Dylan Thieneman because he was the top-ranked player on my board, but apparently I did agree because I felt like I must have just been like I did highlight that they've backed themselves into having to take a tackle. So I matched up with them. I said Blake Miller at 17. At 44, we took Derek Moore. Naturally, I would have taken Gabe Akis. At 118, they took Jimmy Rolder. I understand. I just took Gabe Akis, but I never expected Dennis Sutton to be there. And we literally, to me, only have one edge rusher, and you need 2, maybe 3, easy. So I went ahead and said Dennis Sutton, doubled down on edge rusher. We took Keith Abney. Man, I almost think I agree with them more now, but I wrote down I wrote down Jalen Kilgore over Abney. He was higher on my board at the time.
Sure.
The size I probably overreacted to the size, but I'll give him that one. I think I'm happier with Abney than Kilgore because I like that nickel corner spot.
Right.
168 when they took Kendrick Law. I understand he was Mr. Irrelevant. I put Red Murdoch there, so call it an overdraft if you want. Don't care. That's what I had.
Not even close.
Then at 205 when they took Skylar Gale Howard, I took Uar Bernard.
Sure.
Plug him in. Love it. And then at 222 when we took Tyree West, I had Diego Pounds.
Yeah, which again, still surprised Diego Pound went undrafted. That was one of those. That's another guy. He might be, and we'll talk about this at another episode. He might be one of my favorite, if not my favorite, undrafted player that ended up getting snapped up by somebody. So here's the thing: I think Detroit wins this division.
I do too,
but I don't think they win the NFC.
I do not. I had the Giants. I have the Giants winning the NFC. I don't care. And the reason why, outside of making good picks and getting a true first-round grade, you fleeced the Bengals. You took an aging stud D-tackle whose career is probably coming to an end, or at least it's going to be a completely different. Yeah, he's on the downslide and got a top 10 pick for him. The Giants win the NFC.
And again, I disagree with you. I think the Eagles are still better, but that might be because Uar's on the team. I don't know. And again, the Giants could have had Uar. They chose not to. But at any rate, when you look at this, no team in the NFC wildly impressed me. I know the Giants impressed you to an extent, but my point is none of these teams did better than the Bills or the Jets at very least. Again,
I think
Cleveland,
I still have
Cincy, or Cleveland and Indy. I think that Indy, just because they didn't have like a first round pick, even though they maximized what they had, Indy is probably the one who wins the maximized what they had in this draft, but I still don't think they win the draft. I still think I have, it's funny. I'm actually going to ding the Jets. I'm dinging the Jets for what I just praised the Colts for, because the Jets had 3 first-round picks. They put themselves in position for 3 first.
Yeah, but they did that like values on all of those. They didn't give up much.
Dude, but I loved the second half of Buffalo's picks. If Buffalo hadn't taken Igbinosun, I think it's okay, fine. I will give you the Jets because I am so out on Igbinosun in the second round. That's the only reason why because I loved the second half of Buffalo's draft so much. Day 3, Buffalo won day. Here you go. Caveat: Buffalo won day 3. The Jets won overall. Can we say that?
Yeah, sure. Because I still have Buffalo as probably the second best.
Sure.
And then you've got the cluster of figuring out the Cleveland, Indianapolis, the Giants for me.
Right, yeah. If you want to try to do a top 6-pack, it's all those teams are involved in there. That's those 5, and then whoever you want to put at 6 is pretty much what it looks like right now. And so, yeah, it's a very interesting draft. It makes sense that we had so much mediocrity when it comes out of these draft classes because people were getting valued all over the place this year. There wasn't like a more uniform mindset of, these guys are in these spots. There was just clusters of players all over the place. And if you had a guy ranked at the beginning of a cluster versus the back end of a cluster, that's the difference between an A and a C sometimes.
I guess all I'll say to put a bow on it is, my goodness, and here's the true reason why the Jets win this by a landslide. I don't even think it's close.
I refuse for a landslide.
I really don't even think it's a landslide. They won this because they picked great players, worked the draft incredibly well, didn't give up a ton to get all those extra picks. They were all values, everything they did. And then finally, and the most important piece, I truly feel like the Jets are a quarterback away from really turning this thing around. So then what do they got? These picks in next year's draft too, which is supposedly going to be the best QB class ever, one of them.
Yeah, right.
So everything they've done looks like it's just working for them, and it's lining up beautifully, and it's frustrating because I'm a Patriots fan.
The good news is it's still the Jets, and they haven't flipped their culture yet. They could pull a Detroit and flip it this season. We will see going forward. They have a chance, but they're also running into the same problem that Detroit is having, or they will run into the same problem where they now have a bunch of guys who are going to be very expensive in a few seasons. So they have a 3-year window right now to try to get this thing figured out. It'll be very interesting to see if they can as we get into the season. Coming up, though, we're going to do our first swipe at the mock draft for next year. And then we're going to be looking. It is. It's the way too early mock draft, right? Way too early mock draft because we're not even through like summer workouts and things like that. And then we're going to redraft last year's draft. It's going to be great fun. All the stuff coming up as we get into our off season. So many fun little things, including shows we haven't even figured out what we're going to do yet. We'll catch you next time with that. Good draft.